What's up, everybody? My name is Kevin, and today I'm here to talk to you guys about presentation layout and design. Uh, Now, many of you might be thinking, hey, I've done this before. I can get a bunch of images, some text, maybe a good, flash effect or something, and slap it all together and make a really nice presentation. But I'm here today to show you guys introduce you guys to some new concepts, some definitions, and then figure out how to make a presentation that is simple, effective, and helps illustrate your point very clearly. Now, the one rule we're going to stick to throughout this entire presentation is that simple is better. When you're making a presentation, there's no need to overdo it on the effects, on the amount of content you put on a singular slide. Simplicity is better. It's easier for people to read, to understand, and for the most part, provides a much cleaner look. Now, I will be using my own presentation as an example of how to go through this. And so as we go on, if there are any further questions, please refer to the FAQ on the Google site, and I'll be able to answer any questions. Now, I will be doing my presentation on the Transitions program, which is a program at Vassar College for first-generation, low-income, and or undocumented students. All of the photos I will be referencing in today's presentation are photos that I have taken myself. And while it is important to cite your sources, since it is of my own source, I will not be citing myself. Please refer to any online sources or perhaps another lesson on sourcing your materials. So we're just going to jump right into our first definition, which is directionality. Now, directionality is, I'm just going to read it, in relation to the direction an object or motion of objects are moving toward. Now, to put this much more simply, it is when looking at an object, so it could be an image or a body of text, and figuring out which direction the object itself is guiding your eye towards. So if you're looking at something and you're reading it left to right, as we just did with this, the directionality flow is left to right. Perhaps you're scanning down an object, looking down, it could be in any direction. How does this work in a presentation? Let's use this slide as an example. Now there are 3 photos on this slide with a body of text. We have our 1, 2, 3, and a body of text in the corner. Now you're asking, how does this relate to directionality? Well, let's examine our whole slide. Now, since there's not solely one object or body of photo or text on our slide, it might be difficult to tell what direction it's going in. It's not exactly only moving left to right. Since there's photos, you can look at it up and down. How exactly are we going to balance this with directionality? Now, there are 3 photos here and then a small body of text, and our first instinct is usually to look at the pictures and then read the text. We're looking left to right, so we'd look at these first. We see that there are 3 points, and those are matched by 3 pictures. So one would assume that there is a point for every picture. Looking at this photo that we have here of these bingo cards, we can see the direction in which the bingo cards are pointing coincidentally points to both the photos underneath it on the left, here, and the right. The directionality of this top photo is leading our eye as the viewer to look towards this photo and then this photo. Coincidentally, there is this third card that leads your eye back, but since it is more flat and in the background, our brain will register it as flat and allow us to look at this body of text over on the right. The directionality balance of this compositional slide allows us to focus from when our eye starts, which is usually top left corner as how we read, and filter down into the rest of the slide. The next thing I want to talk about is the alignment. Alignment is the arrangement of objects in a line or position relative to one another. So as we can see in this example here, these 2 rectangles are aligned in that they're the same size in a straight line moving left to right. Now, these objects are also aligned on the right, as in they are on the same plane, same flat line here, but now they are a little bit off-centered where one is smaller than the other, and the alignment of them is slightly different. But let's take a look at how that will balance out in a slide. In this slide, there are two forms of alignment. We both have the vertical alignment, where there's the photo and the text. But then similarly, there's an alignment of photo and text being horizontal from one another. Now in this case, since we are under the assumption of reading left to right, I'm going to say, oh look, here is a picture of an individual, the caption, with a body of text that says focus on the individual. And here we have a group with a caption, and then above the body of text saying focus on groups and collectives. Putting together slides that have images and text within alignment make it easier for us as viewers to read and understand the meaning behind the presenter's theme. We are able to put an image next to a body of text and realize that these two are associated, but still have it flow when we want to put multiple pieces on the page. So we're very well aware that half of the page is separate from the other half. So being able to put text in one spot and having it not align with text in another box looks okay in this composition. You can see here that our text on the top left does not exactly align with the text on the bottom left. We have this little gap. It might feel a little weird if we simply just had the text. But since we have these two photos that are also in this horizontal alignment, being equally spaced from the photos and in the same position, it looks much more compositionally sound given the balance of the two. Symmetry is often important in presentations if you're working with pairs and looking for a good balance of visuals. Now, if we're thinking back to how we framed our definition of directionality earlier, we can see that again in this, where the subject matter in both photos, whether it is the student looking down or the framing perspective of the lunch is going up, both lead back to the bodies of text and helping again the viewer center the bodies of text that we have chosen to highlight using the photos. This is an example of both directionality and alignment working together to center our theme. So the last definition I want to talk about is contrast, when two things differ from each other significantly or juxtaposed in a significant manner. So we had examples earlier of, a couple photos on there, maybe a body of text. And so looking at this left bottom example, we have 4 rectangles all the same. Neither of them particularly stand out because they all look the same. And our example on the right of contrast is having 3 of our rectangles look the same, and our top right one be a starkly different color, where now the main focus of that slide, if this were to be the slide on this little right hand corner, would be this red rectangle because it is so bright. How does it look in a presentation, you ask? Well, I'm glad you did. Here we are juxtaposing or contrasting, putting text that is going horizontally with this photo that is going vertically. Now this might just seem very simple and not at all effective, but this very distinctly separates our eye from text that is going in one direction to being able to read and recognize this photo as being vertical and examining it as so. Now let's see how all 3 definitions fit into this photo. So we're thinking of directionality, alignment, and contrast. Now we already spoke to the contrast of the body of text going in one direction, the photo going in another. How does this align? Well, now we see we have 2 parallel bodies where this chunk of text is in alignment with this photo. Again, separating how we have 2 columns of objects we're looking at and keeping them aligned. A nice symmetrical balance for our eye to follow. Directionality. Now we did talk about the text reading left to right and being horizontal. We're able to see that reading left to right, as soon as we're done, our eye follows from reading left, the body of text, to right on the photo. The directionality of the text leads us to the photo. Similarly, if we are to look at the photo, the verticality of the photo, looking up and down, and the gesture of the subject matter, so the student here holding this portrait, is pointing towards the body of text. The directionality in this photo has us read up and down, and then crosses back over to the body of text on the left. Obviously, there are multiple ways in this can apply, so feel free to explore in how you manipulate text and photos, photo subject matter, into providing good elements of directionality, alignment, and contrast. Now, there are so many ways you can explore with that, and whether that is an entire photo dedicated to a page, Indeed would be balancing that out with perhaps another slide just full of text. You should be careful when doing that. Like we started in the beginning, simple is better. And so being able to mix and match various amounts of text and image, playing around with size and font is many things you can do. But we're going to stop there for now, and that's enough. Make sure you guys check out the assignment on the Google site, and if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask them on the frequently asked questions Google Doc that's on there. This has been Kevin. We'll see you next time.